Step away.
What? Don't get Joshua. He's on a power trip right now, so you might not want to mess with him. He's really on a power trip.
This society is so greedy, we're willing to go to war. We're willing to go places and send these big metal machines that kill people and fuck people up just so we can make more money.
We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it.
How many people do you know personally who have died suddenly and mysteriously in the past 5 years? I have personally known 8 actors, all of whom I have worked with and was close to. Heath Ledger, Chris Penn, David Carradine among them. I believe these actors were whacked, and I believe that many others, such as Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, and Mel Gibson, are being played to get at their money.
I served as the mayor pro tem of that city for 14 years. During that time, I reported political corruption, police brutality, and the molestation of young children that went unpunished and unprosecuted. For these things, I became a targeted individual.
The Air Force denies it's working on one. But patent number 6470214, issued on October 22, 2002, says otherwise. The patent title, Method and Device for Implementing the Radio Frequency Hearing Effect. Patent holder, the U.S. Air Force.
They zap your body at the same time a lot of times, or they'll talk in your head while you're sleeping. Like, you might halfway wake up and hear somebody talking in your head, but then once you wake up, you don't hear it anymore.
And there's more. Every time Cindy makes or receives a call,
Eyewitness News, this is Cindy.
my cell phone lets me know. It's a text message telling me she's on the phone so I can call in and listen. On my computer, I also get a copy of her text messages. I can see the phone numbers of all her incoming and outgoing calls, and no matter where Cindy is with her cell phone, I get constant satellite updates on her location. I can literally track Cindy anywhere she goes. And I'm just getting started.
He's retarded, sir. He's retarded. Listen to what I have to say. If you're retarded, you wouldn't be listening to him either. Straight out to the side. Don't get up. I'm not going to get up. Don't get up.
And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control.
Dr. Hall says what Verveff describes is known as gang stalking. Indeed, he writes about it in his book, A New Breed, Satellite Terrorism in America.
That it's time now that people in America and all over the world become more aware of the many thousands, if not larger numbers of victims of people that have been used in mind control experimentation, as well as being used within our own government and other governments as operatives that have been under mind control. used as a slave labor force without their own knowledge or awareness.
One scary possibility that we would have to guard against is that, is it possible that hackers of the future could somehow manage to peek inside our own heads?
There may be reason to be concerned.
No, electronic harassment as a whole with this surveillance is electronic surveillance. Turns the target, like myself, into a walking, talking piece of surveillance equipment. They have the ability to see through my eyes in real time, hear through my ears, everything that's said.
It's interesting because it would be almost a perfect way to implement something known as man-machine interface. If you can stimulate the brain, you can stimulate vision, you can stimulate auditory cortex, you can stimulate movement, you can stimulate the passions, you can stimulate desires, you can basically address your brain directly.
This is another message they got about killing your pets. Listen to this.
That's not right.
Yeah, he had his hands up, and he has mental problems. He has mental problems.
You can tell that to look at him. I don't even know it. That's not right.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day.
Tip number 3, plan your evacuation route, because when zombies are hungry, they won't stop until they get food, like your brains, which means you need to get out of town fast.
If people can imagine one night that they couldn't sleep well and they woke up totally just exhausted, that's what we were experiencing every day.
The father says since 9/11, his family has become a target because he is originally from Pakistan.
And to be treated like this, like I'm a non-citizen, it hurts.
In the end, you will find people that are targeted are always whistleblowers.
Documents surrounding the development of this secret weapon are classified. But what is known is that microwaves carry energy. When a microwave pulse is absorbed by our body, this energy is converted to heat, causing the tissue to expand slightly and then contract when it cools. If the microwave were aimed at our head, this expansion and contraction would be heard as a clicking sound that could be encoded into words.
Even if her cell phone is just sitting on a table or attached to her purse, I can activate the speaker on that phone and secretly listen in.
So what are the rules for listening in?
That means while Cindy is meeting with our station attorney up on the 36th floor of that downtown building...
And does their intent matter?
I can hear their conversation even though I'm 4 miles away. I'm eavesdropping on them from the city's north side. And I can hear every word.
Yeah, as long as you can do all those kind of things, you can use that as evidence.
And there is, they follow us, they tail us, they tag our cell phone, they hack our computer, we can't send email, we make a call and right in the middle of the call, the whole system will shut.
I do have physical stalkers still, and I've been completely surrounded for about the last 6 years that I know of. I've been forced to move about 7 times.
According to this passage in the patent documents, this device can beam energy waves that can be, quote, converted to nerve signals which are sent to the brain, thereby enabling intelligible speech to be perceived by the brain. The result? The person hears voices that aren't there.
And I do hear the voices in my head.
Still hearing the fucking voices pretty much all the time.
I can plumpy on my parents. They're 70. Those are their animals, and they threaten to know where they live and kill my parents' animals. My dad's in front of the Tacoma police station talking into his phone. Yeah, that looks crazy. But he said, if you can hear us, you big toad, we're after you now. The police are on it, FBI's on it, Homeland Security. They called back a minute later and said, yeah, we can hear you, you big toad.
He's in a wheelchair. Oh, wait, he's on this block. What is going on?
This isn't stalking done by a former spouse or former boyfriend or someone that you know that's just rumbled at you, but stalking is being done by total strangers in an organized fashion.
Definitely do try and get me to commit suicide and retaliate so that they could get the upper hand.
My abusers are trying to force me to commit suicide.
They do want me to commit suicide. There's absolutely no question about that.
They want you to commit suicide, or they want to incarcerate you.
So, how can you protect yourself? Well, for starters, don't just leave your cell phone lying around where anyone can get to it. Install a password on here to prevent others from accessing your phone. And when you're not using it, go ahead and turn it off and actually take out the battery. We've got more tips for you at WTHR.com.
What's happening is when they're burning through it.
The family says it will comply, but will continue living under thermal blankets inside the house.
The best we could do is to protect ourselves as a shield, to protect against radiation, because microwave radiation is reflected off of aluminum, so it's a protective measure.
I heard an engineer said that aluminum was a deflector of heat, and so I put it on my head. It immediately had a cooling effect on my head.
This is like a hood from a jacket I bought that supposedly blocks EMF. LessEMF.com sells that. And I was trying a mixture of that with the space blanket hooked up to the jack, and I was feeling, I think, a lot better.